Well, why is the world looking at India when it comes to strengthening their business ties? That's because India is the fastest growing emerging economy in the world, and really the only single bright spot, if we can say, is for such a large country around the world economically. Let's also take a look at what the World Bank has said as far as India's growth is concerned in the last few years. So the World Bank's G20 document says that India has achieved financial inclusion in record time. They've talked about how in 6 years alone, the financial inclusion has been taken to a level of 80%. Of course, this is something we've discussed very much in domestic politics. In 2022, the value of the UPI transactions became nearly 50% of India's nominal GDP. Without digital infrastructure, this would have taken 47 years to reach the current stage. The Indian digital payment infrastructure includes, of course, the landmark schemes of the Prime Minister like Jan Dhan bank accounts, Aadhaar, of course, mobile phones, the fact that internet is the cheapest anywhere in the world in India. The cost of onboarding customers has decreased from $23 to just $0.1 because of the digital payment infrastructure mechanisms. Also in March 2022, the World Bank report talks about how India's savings were at $33 billion, equivalent to nearly 1.14 of the GDP. And these are words that have not just come from the World Bank. Not so long ago, the IMF had also lauded India's advancements in the digital infrastructure field and more. In fact, the IMF chief lauded India's leadership ahead of the G20 summit, saying that the country has set a high bar for global leadership and that India's presidency is helping the fragmented world. She also couldn't help herself from participating in an Odia folk dance upon her arrival. Here are those visuals. Madhav, I want to come to you once again on, the soft power that India is displaying as far as this G20 summit is concerned. They've really taken it to the public in the run-up to the New Delhi Heads of State meeting to over 200 cities. They're showcasing India's roots, Vasudev Kutumbakam, plus the large Nataraj statue. You've got folk dances taking place, Indian music, Indian architecture, Indian history on display. Your thoughts on how the government has handled and presented this G20 presidency?
Look, the first point is that in India, for a long time, an international meeting was basically Delhi, perhaps Mumbai, okay, Bangalore as well, possibly, but that's about it. Maybe at most half a dozen cities. Today, we are talking about 50 to 60 cities, and we are talking especially even in small towns. And I have long said that the future of India, the future of technology in India is going to be in the small towns because the quality of life is so much better in a small town and techies will be drawn there. So the fact is that this is a whole of India approach. It's not just the metro India, it's a whole of India approach. And may I point out one important point which India is raising, which the Prime Minister has been talking about, and that is a global kind of a framework for crypto. The reality is crypto is something that you can't avoid. I mean, there are some central banks and central bankers who basically are happy about it and who would like to ban it or block it. It can't be blocked. In fact, you should use blockchain and make it transparent. The Prime Minister is instead saying you have to have global norms and you have to have it transparent so that people can understand what is happening in the world of crypto.
Okay.
That dark web and criminal gangs, mafiosi, terrorists do not use cryptocurrency the way they use cash currency. So that is a very important point that India is making, and I do hope that the other G20 members will sign on to a global kind of a framework
for cryptocurrency.
Okay. Does not go into the dark actions of terrorists and others.
Daniel, I want to take your thoughts as well as a foreign observer. What do you make of the message that India is trying to send of its, large history, culture, the message of one earth, one family, one future. On climate issues, for example, the Prime Minister has led from the front. India is leading the charge despite being a developing country on meeting climate goals. The Prime Minister recently spoke to moneycontrol.com, which is our sister concern, highlighting those on how India wants to do more. He recently also talked about how these goals have to be met, they have to be increased. That is the legacy that the G20 summit or the government wants to leave with this G20 summit, exposing more of India's culture, civilization to the world and what it stands for.
Yeah, I'd say India is doing a very good job of presenting itself as an attractive partner to a wide range of other countries, certainly including the United States. And I think that this is urgent as a sort of a strategic agenda for India. This isn't just a matter of nice to have, a friendly face to the world. This is a critical opportunity that India actually not just would be good to seize, but needs to seize in order to see an expansion of employment for its many young people, and to see it achieve the kind of economic growth and development that is really necessary for India to assume the position that it would like to assume on the world stage as not just a leading power, but one of the very most powerful countries in the world.
Right.
If India doesn't seize this moment and do so in a way that attracts foreign capital and all kinds of investment and all kinds of new business arrangements, then it'll be a big missed opportunity. And that would be problematic for India. So it's not just a matter of this is India's moment and India is coming out to the world, but India needs to do this for its own purposes. And so far, so good in a number of different ways. But the proof will be in the eating over the next coming years.
Right.
This isn't just one big splashy event and you're done.
No, absolutely. In fact, the Prime Minister recently has reiterated a couple of messages, which is that this is the moment for India to seize. This presidency is happening for us at the right time so that we can showcase our strengths and what we stand for. But of course, the next 25 years, as the government calls Amrit Kal, till 2047, when we are hoping to become a developed country, if we don't seize the moment now, then it will be a missed opportunity, as you said. I request our guests to stay with us.